Welcome back to The Grind. In this video, we are going to discuss the basics of how to parry and evade. These are two incredibly important skills to master when playing Marvel Contest of Champions, because every fight will in one way or another require at least one of these two skills. This video is directed towards the newer players because I'm sure most people who have played for any amount of time have probably already learned and developed these skills, but if you could use the practice, hopefully this video will be helpful for you. Before we get into the gameplay, we have to take a look at the masteries because you need certain masteries in order to have the ability to parry and evade. So I put 3 points into parry because it also increases your perfect block chance, meaning you'll take less damage when you do parry an attack. And since parrying is so integral to the vast majority of fights, you don't want to be taking much damage, if any, when you're doing this. Now, the next skill is a couple over in dexterity. You need at least one to make this work. You would have to put 1 point into limber. I personally put 3, but that's just my preference for this time. Dexterity is the one that will allow you to evade projectiles or attacks when you're dodging backwards, when you would otherwise get hit. I recommend just placing 1 because the extra points in it don't really give you much advantage other than it increases the amount of time that you have the extra crit buff afterwards. But the main purpose of this mastery is to allow you to evade special attacks so you do not have to take block damage. Now, let's take a look at some gameplay. So we're going to go over here and attack the Winter Soldier, and we're going to use a couple of my favorite champions, Blade and Stark Spider-Man. So first, we're going to talk about how to parry. Now, parrying can be defensive as well as very offensive if you are an offensive player. You can parry right at the start of the fight. If you delay your block a fraction of a second, then the opponent typically strikes an attack. And you can see I continued parrying multiple times in a row, quickly pushing my opponent back into the corner. Now, if we slow it down, you can see right at the start, my opponent's already started attacking and I've done nothing. I'm not blocking, I'm not evading. So then at last second, I can throw the block up to block his first attack and land that parry. After a 5-hit combo, you can delay very slightly and then throw the block up once again at the very last second to parry and stun him again, allowing you to go into another 5-hit combo and parry once more if they throw a basic attack instead of their special attack. And as long as they keep doing this, you can continue going until you want to bait out a special attack like I did here. Another interesting thing to note is that you can also parry special attacks. This can be used for multiple reasons. For Blade in particular, because he stacks bleeds with parries, is very useful to parry as many parts of a special attack as possible. But it can also be useful for opponents who have multiple special attacks that you are unable to evade the full combination. You can just parry block one of the middle components and then continue evading the rest. One way to set yourself up for a parry is to attack into the opponent's block and then back off for a second. So once you see the opponent blocking, you can charge in to attack, and then you can either pause there to parry. In this case, he set up a block, so I backed off and waited for him to come back to me, and then I was able to parry him. I then proceeded to parry him multiple times in a row with combos in between, and then backed him up into the corner. This is a great position to be in for many champions where you can do repeated heavy attacks, but also it gives you a lot of room to evade and bait special attacks. Now you can see I missed the parry on that first part, but landed it for the second part of that special attack, allowing me to stack a couple more bleeds and then go right back into a combo and a special attack. Here's another example now with Spider-Man Stark Enhanced, where even if they have a special ready, you can parry them multiple times and quickly push them back into a corner if they're not using their special attacks. You want to be ready just in case they do use their special attack so you can evade it and be ready to go back in for another full combination. Now let's look at a couple more examples of attacking into a block to set yourself up for another full combination as well. Here you can see he actually went for a heavy attack, and if you're ready to evade it, you can go back in immediately for another combo. And then in this instance, I attack into the block and he uses a special attack. That's a way to bait it out, and it gives you another free attack combo. This time, after the block, he went into an attack which I was able to parry, go into a full 5-hit combo, and then he instantly went back into an attack for me to parry again. So I was able to do another combo, pushing him into the corner, at which point he went for a special attack, which I was able to evade, and then get a free attack combo in again after that, and then he went for another attack, which I was able to parry once again, and then after this, he followed it with another special attack. So you can see how you can really lock them down in the corners and continue this cycle over and over for a pretty long time, depending on what they do. But you always want to be prepared to evade in case they throw up a heavy attack. Now this is a perfect time to transition into how to evade. This is another essential skill to master when playing Contest of Champions, because so many champions have multiple attack combo special attacks that are projectiles or beams or long distance melee attacks, and the multiple component of it requires you to evade at exactly the right time so that you're able to continue evading the remainder of the attacks. Some special attacks are even unblockable, so you can't parry or block it in case you needed to, and in some modes of gameplay there will be buffs or nodes that will give the champions unblockable special attacks. So evading is a very critical skill to master. Probably one of the easiest first steps is to learn to evade basic attacks so that you can dodge at the last second, and it will actually trigger the dexterity buff and you will avoid taking damage. If you don't have dexterity, the last minute dash backwards like that will still cause you to take contact from the opponent and take damage. Now, you don't have to trigger the dexterity buff. You can dodge back a little bit earlier, but this is the easiest way for me to consistently avoid getting hit by basic attacks. And for Stark Spider-Man, you want to be good at evading basic attacks so you can quickly build up your 10 stacks. Every champion is different, so you need to learn the opponent's special attacks. Some parts are easy to avoid, like the short-ranged melee attacks, while others are long-range and require you to dodge projectiles. Some short-range ones can be dodged by dashing back immediately or being far enough back, while the long-range ones you want to dodge at the last second so you do not get clipped by the last shots of it. Some attacks have multiple hits within a very short period of time, or at least a component of the attack is. So the second special attack for Winter Soldier is one short attack and then several long-range attacks back to back. And if you try to dodge it from the beginning, you will take damage from the remainder of the shot. If you don't time it right and you evade a little bit too early, you will still get clipped by several of the shots, because I think that attack has 7 hits. But if you time it right and you're used to the number of hits that it takes and when you can evade, you can evade the last couple shots at the very end of that attack, allowing you to go back in for a full combo afterward. Here is another example of a special attack from Agent Venom, which has a different timing for the evades. You would dodge the initial kick, which does have significant range, and then the second long range attack you have to be ready to evade as well. This one is hard to enter back into a combo immediately after, so you want to be cautious. Another way to utilize evade offensively is to wait until you can evade and then use your special attack. This is helpful in situations where the opponent is playing more defensively. Maybe you have low health and don't want to risk taking block damage. You can wait for a basic attack and evade it and then use your special right away, or wait for them to dash attack and use it while they're dashing. This is a good way to guarantee that you're going to land your special attack. So I hope this video was helpful. If you'd like to see more videos like this or watch my progress as I start getting back into the game and doing some more of the difficult content and running through Act 6 now after the nerf, or if you just want to support my channel, would definitely appreciate you subscribing, leaving some comments in the comment section below with some tips for the game or my channel, and maybe giving me a like and sharing my videos. I would greatly appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.